I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I had one, certainly, with two grandchildren, one 2.5 and one 8 months. And then we were able to get our whole family together sometime during that week. So that was a lot of fun. The 2.5-year-old, of course, is into everything and wants to do everything. So he helped stuff the turkey, and he made the muffins, and he helped make the I don't know, Jello, I mean, whatever it is. And then he helped cut the tree. Thank God for his father, who was patient enough to let him try to do that. No, we did not use a power saw. We were using a hand saw. But he did kind of lose it afterwards. He wanted to be carried. He wanted to ride the tree as we were carrying it. And it was an 11-foot tree. And his father is certainly strong enough to handle that. His grandfather, on the other hand, said, I'm going to get the car. So, but we had a great time, and I hope you had a great time. I certainly have a lot to be thankful for. So, prior to that, I spent a week going back and forth to the East Coast. I was in Washington, D.C. for a couple of days on a group called Restoring America's Middle Class, RAMSI. And the group we've hired a lobbyist who has some pretty good access, it seems, into the Congress and the Senate. I spent some time with both the head of the House Education Committee, the head staffer, I should say, and the Senate Education Committee, both the majority leader and then the minority as well. Of course, we're very interested in what the Republicans are thinking. Once again, it seems that the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act is up. The most important thing about that for us at the moment anyways is that's where Pell Grants get their funding. And so, as you know, many of our students receive Pell Grants, I don't know, somewhere up to 40%. So we're always interested in whether or not those are going to be funded and at what level they're going to be funded. And one of the things that you may know about Pell Grants, but if you don't maintain satisfactory academic progress, if you don't maintain a 2.0, then you become ineligible for those grants. Now, you can earn your eligibility back by coming to school and paying for it yourself, and then if you can get your GPA, your cumulative GPA over 2.0, then you can go back and you can receive grants for the future. One of the interesting problems that creates for us and for many across the country is that if an adult comes back to us, and let's say they came here about 5 years ago, and for whatever reason, they came right out of high school, maybe it's a maturity issue, maybe there was a medical issue, I mean, who knows, they did very poorly and they dropped out. And in some cases, they just flunked out of everything. So now they come back 5 years later or so, and they've got their act together. They know what they want to do. And, they're going to probably be very successful. However, they're not eligible for Pell Grants because they have this negative GPA or this poor GPA. And so one of the things that we're doing here, thanks to our foundation and thanks to our Special Services Division and Amber Michaels, who I know handles this, is we managed to get the foundation to provide funding for these individuals so that they could come back and then perhaps earn back their ability to achieve the Pell Grant. And we've had some really great success. In a small pilot, we had 75% of the students within the first semester that they came back earned their eligibility back. Almost all of them came back for the second semester, even if they hadn't earned their eligibility. So one of the things that I proposed while I was there, both to the Senate and the House of Representatives, is that as they're thinking about the Pell Grant, could they put a reset on the date for how long that your grade point average would count against you, so that student, let's say 5 years later, wouldn't have to carry that GPA that they had 5 years before. I mean, they still would have used up a semester's worth of eligibility, but they would be able to access Pell Grants immediately. I got a lot of positive encouragement on that, and in fact, one of the folks asked us to go ahead and put together the proposed language that might be added into that bill. So who knows, these kinds of things when you're in Washington take years to actually take root. But I was encouraged that at least we were able to bring up an issue that I'm not sure many people had really thought about. So that's kind of what happened while I was in Washington. Then at the end of the week, I was in New York City, and there I belong to a group that is the advisory council for the Community College Research Council, which is out of Teachers College at Columbia University. And I've been on that for quite a long time. And the topic of interest that was that concern by a number of us about where did the adults go. And we're not the only college having issues with adults coming back. And of course, we know many adults have gone back to work, but what we're seeing is that even adults before the Great Recession that had been working, but were still trying to increase and improve their education, that seems to have gone away or disappeared. Too bad we didn't come up with any solutions, but this is a research council, and so we asked them to do some research on, well, what are the issues that are driving this phenomena in our country, and then of course one that we've been wrestling with here as well. So that's kind of what I ended up doing in Washington and New York, but now I'm glad to be back, and next time I travel it'll just be to see my mother, so at least it will be of more pleasure and enjoyable. I hope you have a great end of the semester. You know, when you come back from Thanksgiving, it just seems like, wow, wham, you got 2 weeks left or 2.5 weeks left, and graduation is going to be December the 15th, and students are getting ready to be done, or if they're not going to graduate, they're ready to be done anyways, and so they can have a few weeks off, and I'm sure that's true for many of us and many of you as we prepare for the holidays. I know over this Thanksgiving break, I spent more time trying to fit in, getting a tree, putting up Christmas lights, untangling Christmas lights, going to the store 2 or 3 times because I didn't have the right stuff. Boy, this Christmas is a lot of work. Or the holidays. If it's not Christmas for you, it's at least the holidays. So anyways, have a great end of the semester. Look forward to seeing you at graduation. Keep up the great work that you're doing.